Good morning, friends. Welcome to goonlinetrainings.com. We're going to discuss about incremental loading called as a delta loading. We had seen already with lookup, right? So today, let us talk about SCD, slowly changing dimension. Let me open dev environment, SQL's Visual Studio 2017. I wanted to open SSIS project. So this is the project I have created. I wanted to use it. So one project can have multiple packages. Now in this, what I'm trying to use, I'm trying to implement incremental loading, new SSS package, rename that. So rename, let us say 11 demo underscore incremental loading using SCD. So SCD is a ready-made transformation. You have to go to control flow, drag and drop data flow, double click on data flow, or simply click on data flow. You will be able to come here, right? I wanted to take SCD transformation. I wanted to talk about this, SCD transformation today. It is called as a slowly changing dimension transformation. This is used to capture the history of the row, or you can say incremental data loading. This is used in the data warehousing concepts because normally incremental loading will be done only in the data warehousing. So not in normal destinations, right? So there are three types of SCDs. SCD type 0, changes are treated as errors. SCD type 1, it will override the data. Type 2, it will capture the history of the row. OLTP system cannot store history of a row. Surrogate key is called sequence number in the data warehousing system. SQL Server 2012 has a change data capture to perform the incremental data in the OLTP itself. Okay, so let us understand what is SCD first, then we'll talk about a lot of other things, right? So let me take the same data. Data warehousing videos not only for Power BI, it is for SSIS people also. Okay? So you can ask Mr. Avinash, Avinash number, right? So in your Telegram group, Avinash is also there. You can ask him, Avinash, we need data warehousing videos for SSIS batch, means they will be able to give you. Okay? So there are 7 videos. So you can start watching from today. Now I will take the data. So this is lookup example, right? I will take the next example is an SCD. So what is that I'm planning to do? I have same employee table. Let me take it. I wanted to take employee ID, employee name, and I will take 2 rows initially, John 1000, and this is 2000. Let me have gender, date of birth, right? So location or city in which is working, and something like this. I have some data. John, gender is male, and he is working for. Why it is happening? So date of birth, let us say Jan 12th and 1990 is born. Currently is working for a city called Hyderabad, right? Sita is female and she is born of March and 2022, and let us say 1980 she born, right? She is currently working for Chennai, right? So this is the data I have it. Now you tell me which is the data which you cannot modify till the death of that employee. Can I change the name of the person? You cannot change, right? So this data is called as a type 0 data. Type 0 data means you cannot modify the data. Can I modify this data? For example, John is male now. Can I make it female tomorrow and day after tomorrow male? So this data also cannot be modified. If you modify the data, it will be called as error data. So some data is completely cannot modify it. So your name cannot be modified, right? Your employee number can change from company to company, but your name cannot change. Your salary also can change, right? So your gender cannot change. What about a date of birth? Is it every month or every year is going to change? No, date of birth is common. Your father's name, mother's name, blood group, right? Lot of things cannot change, right? So this type of a data is called as a type 0 data. If you modify the data, changes are treated as errors. Now, all the data I'm going to be taking and dumping into, let us say, in your destination. Destination will be a data warehousing table and it will be a dimension employee table. Now, what I do, I load this data as it is here. That's fine. You're going to load the incremental data. Now, for the incremental purpose, I'm going to be using a transformation called slowly changing dimension. So, it will load the data. After loading the data, if somebody modifies this to F, or if somebody modifies this to something else, now whenever you run the data second time, when you configure this column as a type 0 data, SCD is going to be verifying this data with this data. Clear? It will go and one it will match. Then it will verify this data with this data. Now it will give you an error. So type 0 data, once it is loaded, nobody can modify the data at the source level. Why? Because it is read-only data. If somebody modifies this, so SCD can verify with this data and it will be able to tell you this is a wrong entry. For example, tomorrow you verify, you say John Kennedy, you're writing like this. So it is going to be verifying this 1 and you mark it as a type 0 and it has initially it got John. If somebody is modified like this, now when you run the package, it is going to be giving you error. Why? Because once you give the data to the data warehousing, nobody can modify it. If they modified, it is called as a type 0 data, cannot be modified. Changes are treated as errors. Normally, we don't update or modify the data in the data warehousing. Data warehousing always to load the data. All the insert, update, delete is going to be happening always in OLTP, OLTP, OLTP. We never go and modify the data directly here. Always you do this and you will be able to perform. But if you wanted to modify this, then definitely you need to remove this. When you remove, then there is no problem. Then it is going to come here and it will get addressed. Otherwise, it is not going to be working fine. So that is what is called a type 0 data. Now, what is called as a type 1 data? Type 1 data means, for example, I wanted to type 1 data I'm talking about. For example, this guy got transferred from Hyderabad, let us say Pune. After some time, he got modified. So type 1 means what will happen when you run the package, updated data will get overwritten. So this data will be overwritten. That is the one. Clear? So updated data type 1 means what? So when you modify the data here, the modified data will be overwritten. That is a type 1. So it will overwrite the data in the destination. But I don't want to, have the type 1. I wanted to maintain a type 2. What is the meaning of type 2? Type 2 means if I modify some changes, I don't want to overwrite the data. I wanted to capture the history. What will happen? You will take a complete data from here. You are going to be making of one more copy. Clear? Why? Because you will know John's earlier salary was 1,000. Now John's current salary is 1,200. This is what is called type 2. Type 2 means it will capture the one more row. So one more duplicate row will come and you will have two more dates. Start date and end date will come here. For example, you have taken this data, let us say let us say April 20, you copied data. All the data you copied here April 2020. All this data initially got copied. Okay. So something like this, you're going to be having start date. Clear? So afterwards, it has become 1200 rupees. For example, today or yesterday, it got modified. So same data you will be able to modify. So today, the salary is changed. Then you run the package. So this salary is applicable till today. So April, what is today's date? Today is September 14, 2022. So this row got added, and from this date to this date, this was the salary. Now the same salary is changed from today and it is null. Clear? So you will have a start date and end date. When you get the package, you will come to know this salary is implemented from this end to this, and September 14th, 22 onward, the salary got incremented. So what is the purpose of the type 2? If you wanted to know what was my earlier data and what is my new data, clear? Wherever there is a type 2, it is a type 1. Type 1 means it's going to be overwriting. So tomorrow, again, this guy is transferred to Delhi and you're going to be modifying this data. Now, again, when you run the package, it is a type 1. Type 1 means you have to overwrite. Actually, you have one row here, one more row. Which row will get modified? Only this row will get modified because this row is already over. Clear? So you will have always this row will be there. So tomorrow Sita's salaries also will become 2,500. So initially she joined in the month of April 20, her salary. Now her salary got again modified. So for example, her salary got modified on, let us say, in August 27. In 2021, her salary got incremented. So you will have Control C and one more Control C. That means her salary was, Sita's salary was got. Again, this guy's salary got incremented to 1900 after some time, means then you will be able to take this data. Now you will be able to make this. Okay? For example, his salary got incremented next year. For example, in 2023, his salary again got updated in the month of, let us say, November 12th and 2023, he may get increment. So this will be again going here as an end date. Okay. So like that, every time, even though you have 1, 2, 3, but only one will be the current row, remaining rows are last rows. So how do you know which is the latest data? You have to say where end date is null. Okay. So nothing is there, right? Wherever there is an end date is null. So the data always you will be able to get only 1 and 2. You don't get the duplicated data. Clear? So in the primary key level, so in the source level, this has to be a primary key, because I told you, if you wanted to perform incremental loading, compulsorily you need to have a primary key, but you should not have a primary key here. If you create a primary key here, you do not have the duplicate values. Clear? In the dimension table, you should not create any primary key, because if you create a primary key, type 2 cannot be implemented. There is an interview question. What is the question? What is the eligibility criteria to perform incremental loading? So you need to tell them source table, OLTP should table must have a primary key. Destination table need not have a primary key. So this is not recommended. It is not important. So if you create a primary key here, you will not be able to perform incremental loading with the type 2. Clear? So source has the primary key, destination should not have the primary. But normally, we always create a primary key, right? We always create a primary key, but I cannot implement a primary key. If you don't have a primary key, then definitely your manager will say create one primary key, right? So mother is not there. What will happen? Somebody has to be there in the mother's role. So our father marries one more mother. She's not your own mother. but definitely we need a mother. So that is what is called stepmother, right? So it's not original mother, or it is a, some duplicate. So instead of that, you are going to be creating one more. She is called as step or surrogate mother, not original mother. So original primary key is this, but whatever be the reason, it is not a primary key today, but you need to implement one more new employee ID, or you can say simply ID column. You have to create this ID column where you're going to be implementing automatic number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Automatically numbers are inserted. This is called as a surrogate key. Surrogacy means what? Not real, right? Surrogacy means what? Surrogacy ante not real, which is a duplicate or not original. That is the meaning of, right? So this is the original primary key. Original primary key I cannot implement, but because if I implement, I cannot have duplicate data. So I have removed it. But according to our understanding, if the table has a primary key, then it will be good. It is not mandatory, but it is recommended. See, doing a yoga is not a mandatory, right? It is recommended. Even though you don't do yoga, you can there. But what is important? Taking a breathing is important. If you don't breathe for 1 hour, you will die, right? So what is important? What is recommended? You have to know. Breathing is mandatory. It is not recommended. But doing a yoga exercise gym, it is a recommended. It is not mandatory. Why? Even though you don't do, even though you don't do the yoga gym, you will be alive. There is no problem like that. Primary key is not compulsory. Even though it is not there, nothing to worry. But if it is there, it is always better. So even the primary key is not there, that is okay. But people will recommend to have a primary key. So they will create a column called ID column. So this is identity column according to SQL Server. What is identity? Automatic number. So this is a surrogate key. Surrogate key means it is a primary key only. It is a primary key only. It is a primary key only, but we will be calling this as a surrogate key. So people would ask you this question. So tell me what is a surrogate key. So anywhere need not be in the SCD. In example, you can say wherever in a dimension table, we create one more key, one more automatic number, and that is what is called a surrogate key. Whatever be the reason, the existing key is not at all working. For example, during Congress government, we had Manmohan Singh. This is actually primary key, right? But actually, original kingmaker was Sonia Gandhi, right? So, actual prime minister is Manmohan Singh, but we have a surrogate prime minister is, but surrogate prime minister only actual prime minister. That is Sonia Gandhi, right? So like that, whatever be the reason, the existing guy will become dummy. Manmohan Singh will become dummy. Then you need to have one more guy. In that government, we will be electing. We had seen, Sonia Gandhi was actual prime minister, but she's not actual. She's surrogate prime minister. What is a surrogate prime minister? If the existing prime minister gets a dummy, I'll give you one more example. Normally, you get women empowerment and women leadership, right? In some villages, a woman will be elected as a sarpanch, but woman is the original sarpanch, but her husband or father will be actually ruling the entire village or town. So why? Because even the original president is sarpanch is one woman, because normally we will not give powers to women. So what normally we do? The husband or a brother or father will be acting as a surrogate sarpanch. It is not a real sarpanch, but everything will be handled by that guy, not by that woman. So all these are the best examples. There are, but whatever be the case, they'll become dummy. They're dummy. Clear? So here, because of type 2, I have to implement, I have to remove the primary key here, but a primary key has to be there. So if you don't have a primary key here, if you have a duplicated data here, you cannot talk about incremental loading. Not only SCD, lookup, GitHub, nothing is going to work. So what is the eligibility to have the primary key. So always you need to have the primary key in the source table. Destination table, forget about it. You may have, you may not have, right? But so that is the point. Then if you wanted to perform a type 2 SCD, definitely a destination table's primary key, you have to remove it. You have to create one more column. So this is an automatic number identity column. So what is a surrogate key means? In the dimension table, we create one more ID column. It is automatic number. Automatically numbers are going to be generated. This is what is called as surrogate key. Why we need to create a surrogate key? Because to get a single row, for example, when you say employee ID equals to 1, you will be able to get 1, 2, 3 rows because when you use this. But when you say, ID equals to 1, you will be able to get only 1 row. But when you say ID equals to 2, you will be able to get 1 row. But when you say employee ID equals to 2, you will be able to get 2 rows. So to get a single record, so normally we create a primary keys. If I say ID equals to 4, I will be able to get this row, right? ID equals to 5, I will be able to get this row. If I say ID equals to 1, I will get multiple rows. So key purpose is to retrieve a single row from the group of rows in the where class. Am I clear? So compulsorily you have to understand surrogate key is the concept only in the data warehousing. So whatever be the case, we don't know. But if the existing key becomes a dummy or cannot work, then we have to create one automatic number. This is what is called as a identity. A sequence number in the data warehousing system is called as a surrogate key. Now, I had shown you one good example, compulsory interview question. Clear? So what is a type 0? What is a type 1? What is a type 2? You will be able to understand clearly. You need to ask the company customer. So tell me in this data, what is read-only data? You mark it as 0. So what is the data you would like to overwrite in the destination? They will tell you. And what is the data you wanted to capture the historical data? They will tell you. Then you prepare SCD. Now, OLTP will not keep any history because you don't know what was the earlier salary. His earlier salary was 1,000. Then it has become 1,200. Then it has become 1,900. The historical changes will be available only in the data warehousing with the type 2. Clear? If you implement a type 1, always you will be overwriting. So you don't understand the historical changes. Clear? So what is a dimension? Dimension means a table. So slowly changing dimension is going to be inserting the data based on the configurations. If you give configuration like that, it is going to be storing the data like this. Type 0 means you will get error. Type 1 means overwriting. Type 2 means you will be able to maintain the historical data. Am I clear? So compulsory interview question. So you have to create 2 tables and implement SCD. Let me take. I will talk about this later. So what is the CDC? CDC means I cannot know what is the history here because OLTP will be updating directly here. You don't know what was the old salary. But if you wanted to know history here itself, then you need to use a concept called CDC concept. Change data capture. So it will also maintain the one more table. It will maintain always. Clear? So what it does, if you modify something, the modified data will come here. That's it, nothing else. For example, I will not be having anything here. This table name is called employee archive table. Archive means history. Clear? So whenever you modify anything, when you implement a CDC, in OLTP, this is a new concept implemented in a 2012. So what it does, the purpose is that OLTP system will not have historical data. But if somebody asks you tomorrow, I don't have a data warehousing system. Okay, I have only OLTP. But whenever I modify this data, so what will happen? So, you have to implement CDC. Whenever you modify the data, so old data will be first taken. So old data will be taken here and the new data is going to be going there. So automatically the CDC is going to be doing what it is going to be doing. It is going to be creating a table. Whenever you modify any row here, for example, tomorrow you modify this, anything, it is going to be captured. For example, you transfer to Pune. So again, this data will be taken. So you will be able to know that salary is modified, city is modified. So always it is capturing the history. Clear? So, it is simply as similar to type 2. By default, CDS is implementing type 2. Any column you modify, all columns are type 2 only. Any column you modify, you will be able to have that, and start date, end date is going to be there. Okay? So this we are not going to be interested now. So forget about this. CDC is automatic type 2 in OLTP. So that we are not going to be implementing. Now, as of now, the CDC table also should not have the primary key, right? Otherwise, it is not going to work. Very good. Nice point. You go data flow task, and I'm going to be implementing first data. Let me create the table. So the following tables, I should create control A, control B. First, I have to take a new query. Now, first of all, I am going to be creating a table called SCD. I am going to be creating company underscore SCD database. So you can create whatever it is, company underscore this. This is creating company underscore this. Okay, I will create first. Now this database is created. Now you will be able to get that. Now, after that, what you do? You are going to be using that. Now, you have to create this employee ID, integer, primary key, name, varchar 100. Okay. Salary, money, not null. I'm using a tab space. Date of birth, date and time, not null. All these things you have to know. City, varchar. So this is the one table you have to create where in this database. Okay. Now when you go and refresh, you will be able to get one table. This is a source table, and this is a destination table as well. Clear? Now I have to insert the data. First, I'm going to be inserting some 3 rows. Okay. I wanted to take same table, and I wanted to insert the same data here, but we are going to be creating 2 more columns, right? So we are going to be having 2 more columns. So what are the 2 more columns we're going to be having? One is called start date, end date. So employee ID primary key. So this is not a primary key. We'll say not null. You are going to be one more key ID. ID is an integer column. So this will become a primary key. Identity. Identity means automatic number, which is a surrogate key. So dim employee table I'm creating. One column extra I'm creating. This is automatic number identity column. It is the primary key. Now you have to set data. So employee ID, simply a not null column. So then we have city. After city, we have to have start date, and we have end date. So these 2 columns we need to have it, because I need to create one column, this start date, end date also I have to write it. Okay. So you have to create this table also. Now we are going to be having 2 tables. One is called source, where you have employee ID, you have ID column, then start date, end date. The tables are ready. Now you go drag and drop source. What is your source? Your source is OLDB source. Get the data from SQL Server. Click on connect. Now delete this, because you have to create a new connection. Server name is a dot. Database name is .scd. Okay. Now, okay. Now table or view table. Which table? Employee table. This is a source table. All columns I'm going to be taking. Click on OK. Now this is ready. This you can say this is a source. This is a destination. Source it is. And destination also it is SQL. The table name is called company underscore SCD. Like that you can write. So now you have to go to common transformation, drag and drop, slowly changing dimension. You have to connect first. Okay. So you have to drag and drop and connect. Double click on it. Now say next. It is going to be opening a wizard. Double click on this. It will show you a wizard. Click next. So select a dimension table. What is the dimension table? Connection is same connection. What is the dimension table? You know, dim employee. That is what is a dimension table. Now you need to map input and dimension table, city and city. Everything is getting mapped. You don't have the start date. You have the end date. So it is a blank. So what is the primary key? That you need to say. This is the primary key. You need to say and business key. If you don't choose, next button will not be enabled. You need to say business key or this is a primary key, not this. So this business key applied for this input. So destination, this is not a primary key at all. Clear? So business key or you can say primary key. If you don't change, next button is not enabled. Remember, key columns are completely, you have to map them and choose. This column is a business key. You can choose the business key. Click next. Now, fixed attribute, changing attribute, historical. Fixed means select this type when the value column should not change. Changes are treated as errors. This is what is called a type 0. Type 0 means a fixed attribute. Changing attribute means values are overwritten. This is what is called a type 1. Historical means this is a type 2. Okay, na? Select this type. You read this, you will understand. Changes in column values are saved in the new records. Previous values are saved as a record marked as outdated. This is a type 2 changes. Now I have to tell you, name is a fixed attribute. You should not change. Type 0. Fixed attribute means this is a type 0. This is a type 1, type 2. According to that, you need to now practice. Name, date of birth, then gender, fixed attribute. City, changing attribute, salary, historical attribute. Okay, na? So like that, which column is what you need to change. Employee ID will not come because it is a business key. Click next. So click next. Don't do any changes now here. Now you have to do column to indicate current record, column to indicate, because use start date and end date. I had told you, right? So start date column is a start date, end date column is end date. It is going to be writing a value like this. Whenever you run the package starting date will be taking as a start date, something like this. Values to set the value. So how to get the data here? We are going to be using package start time. So using this, it is going to be running. So whenever you run the package, that day package will be coming here. So whenever you modify again, run the package, that day data is going to be coming here. Clear? So start date and date columns. So the data is going to be coming with the help of system start date time. Click next and finish. That's it. So you have a bigger slowly changing dimension transformation automatically created. Am I clear? So everything is done. You have automatically destination table and OLEDB command updating the data, inserting the data in the destination table. It is employee table where the data will get inserted. Clear? So update is going to be happening here. Now you need to save the package. Now I don't have any data yet. I have to run the package. Click on run the package. So all the data, 3 rows I have, all the data got inserted. Stop the package. Now you go back and check. You will be able to see all the data. Okay. You will be able to see all the data when the data got inserted today's, because you assume that today it got loaded. So start date is this, end date. Tomorrow You may modify the data. You may do a lot of things. So update employee, set name column. I am updating. I should not update. I am updating John K. I should not update this, but I am updating employee ID equals to 1. So I am updating the source. Okay. Now updated the source. Now you see this is a type 0 data. Now you execute this. It is failing. Why it is failing? If you stop the package and see the execution results, it will tell you why it is failing. Copy this error message. You read it. You will come to know what is the problem in this package. It's telling the fail on fixed attribute property set to true. The transformation will fail when the change is detected. Clear? When the fixed attribute is there, when there is a change in the package, it is going to be failing because I have to John K, original data is John. So I have to send it to the same. Now John, city I can modify. What is John City? John City CHN, right? Now let me control C. So I'll say city is transferred to, let us say, Pune. One is getting transferred to Pune. Let me execute this. So it got modified, but I have to run the package. It is a type 0 data. It is going to be overwriting here. Now I have to start. Right. So if you double click on this, you will be able to see one row got affected. No data is being inserted. Let me close the other package. Right click and go close all but other packages. Now I go and check now what is going to be happening here. You will be able to get Pune is going to be overwriting. Clear? John's salary, let us increment it to 1000. Salary, let us make it to 1300 in the source data. Okay? So I have modified 1300 is type 0 data. So what will happen? Let us see. So one more row will get inserted. Type 0 will be inserting one more row. You will be able to see one more row here. John. So you will be able to get start date and end date. This is a new record got inserted. Have you seen this? Now this guy is currently in Pune. Now this guy is transferred to, let us say, Jaipur. Something like this we can have. Let me modify. So I will be able to show you. So is in Jaipur, but is the record is Pune and Pune. Which record will get modified? We'll see the data now. Execute it. Only one record is getting updated. Now we can just go back and check. So earlier row was not touched and this row is got modified. And tomorrow again, Salman's salary will be doubled. What is Salman's salary now currently? 2000. It will become 2700. Right? So like that, you should be able to modify and you should be able to execute the package. Okay, so when you execute the package, one row got inserted, historical data, you will be able to change. Okay, so I had shown you insert and update. If you wanted to, insert a row, you will be able to insert a row. For example, I have now 3 rows. Let me insert 2 more rows. Clear? So this row also I wanted to insert. Now I have inserted one more row here. 4 rows are available. Now I wanted to update this guy from Jaipur to Kolkata. Okay. Now you run the package, one insert and one update. So one row got inserted, one row got updated. It is working fine. Just go back and check. You will be able to know all these things clearly. Right? So you have a 4 David has come, 4 David has come. and John's salary is now new salary. Jaipur, sorry, it is Kolkata, right? Now Jaipur to Kolkata got modified. So all of them are happening. So there is no issue. So you can insert the data, you can update the data. But if I deleted data, delete from employee table where employee ID equals to 1. I'm deleting the data number 1. So this record I'm going to be deleting. Can I delete it or not? Why not? So delete the data from here. So after deleting, this one is missing here, but one is available. So 2 records. Now I wanted to just go and start this. No data got deleted, no data got inserted. You see the data, you delete the data from here, but you never delete any data from the destination table. So SCD cannot delete the data. No incremental loading is going to be configured to delete the data. Remember, only for insert and update, we are not going to be deleting the data from the history, even though you delete the data in the source. Source can be deleted, but you have to maintain the history. We never ever delete the data in the data warehousing. So SCD can perform insert and update, but not the delete operation. Am I clear? You have to talk about few more things for SCD. SCD is very, very slow and very, very not very good. Why it is not very good? Even though it is able to perform well. So if you see carefully, SCD is using OLEDB command for updations. Now we know OLEDB command is very, very slow. It is going to be writing a command with the kind of question marks and everything. We know all about question marks, right? Then column mapping, everything it is doing on its own. But OLEDB command is a slow transformation. When you have a large amount of data, definitely don't use slowly changing dimension because it is internally using OLEDB command. OLEDB command going to perform row by row operation. When you have a large amount of data, SCD is going to be taking a lot of time. SCD is good. People who do not know anything about coding, it will simply click next, finish. It is going to be performing, giving you best options. But definitely, this transformation is bad. Never ever use in your real-time production. Why? Because incremental loading, if you perform with this, it is going to be slow. Why it is slow? For updating purpose, it's going to be implementing OLEDB command. So never ever use SCD transformation in the real time. So always use a lookup transformation. People may ask you, okay, how to implement SCD type 2 in the lookup also? Because lookup you're performing incremental loading, right? So type 2 means what? You should not update. You have to insert one more row. If that is the case, how do we implement in the lookup? So what you need to do, you have to delete this executes equal task. Where I am now? I'm in the lookup transformation. What is the interview question? How do you get type 2? Type 2 means maintain the historical data. If you update it, you should not update it. You have to insert. So what you have to do? You have to delete this in the lookup. Then double click on this. We are able to update. We're able to store in the staging, right? So double click on this. You don't give the staging table. You give original table itself. You give original table itself. So that original table itself, all the data is going to come here. It is no more staging. It is not a staging at all. You're inserting the data into the destination table itself. Clear? So okay, you can have original table itself. So this is original table only. You're loading the data. It is okay. So there is no update here. Here also inserting, here also inserting. When you get some data, you will be able to get, because you will be able to get the inserted data and tax columns. This data you need to have. So before inserting, because I'm able to get those two columns, right? Inserted data and the tax columns data, it is available here. So this data, if you want to get it, Control C, copy and Control V, because whenever you're inserting the data, you should also have inserted data and everything. So lookup no match only will be going to the end. Matching data means we should not take it, and we will be able to go to mapping. So all the insert date and a tax column. So update date will not come here. So this is how you should be able to implement. Let me save and run the package. Okay. So now I'll go to this incremental loading. Okay. Now I'll go to use company lookup. Select star from the employee table. Control C. Dim employee table. Read these two. I have some data. Delete this data from here. Okay. Deleted. I don't have any data. Now I'll run the package now. So what package I'm going to be running today? So lookup. So I wanted to perform the lookup. So all the data is going to insert. The first lookup is going to be happening. Now let me execute this. You are able to get all the data. Now I wanted to insert one row. I wanted to insert one row. Let us say it is row number 4. I wanted to insert one row. If I insert, the data is going to go here. The same data will come when you run the package. So one row is getting inserted. Now it is going to be working fine. There is no problem. But if I update, let me update. Let me go and try to update. Salary of first guy. What is the first guy salary? 1,000. I implemented to 1,200. If I update anything, what I have to get? I have to get the one extra row here. That is what is the point, right? I have to get one more extra row, historical data. So what I am doing? Updating data, I am simply inserting in the original table, dim employee table itself. So this is what is called type 2. And it may fail. Why it is fail? Because it is going to be having a primary key. So that primary key, I did not remove it. So that primary key also I have to remove. Where is my dim employee table in this? Dim employee table, when you open, there is a primary key. So this I have to delete it. Like that, you can delete this. Now, primary key I have deleted. So there is no primary key. It is integer, not null. There is no primary key. Clear? So you can employee ID, name, salary, insert date, updated, tax column is there. Primary key I have deleted. How to delete? Go here, go to the keys, and you can right click and delete. Primary key you can easily delete. So now you go and try to execute this. I have the data, but this time I have deleted the primary key. Now try to execute it. You will be able to get that row got inserted. Now this is what is called a type 2. Okay? So type 2 means you have to insert the data into the original table. Type 1 John is the 1,200. Now it has become like this. You can have again these dates columns, you need to update them. So whenever you whenever you're updating, you need to also add this data here, so that you will be able to update this value, so that you will be able to keep this is outdated data. Now this will be this data. Like that, you will be able to modify this value also. Okay. So if you give this date in here, so this is outdated. John's salary is become 1,200 till this date to this date. You need to change this to start date to end date. Every logic is implemented. You need to have one more logic where you should be able to get this update record. This also you should update it. Okay? So otherwise, so the same row is going to be coming now. If you insert, it has become tomorrow 1,590. Again, this data got changed. So what will happen? So again, you will be able to get one more record, second record, and third time also you are going to get it. So any record you update, it is going to be performing, type 2 transformation only. Clear? So first, second, third, you need to remove the primary key. That's it. Chalo. And update the start date and date columns. I have to modify it. So this also you need to make it as insert date. Then it is start date and end date. So end you need to write the logic to implement this as well. Okay. So that's it. It is also working as a type 2. Am I clear? So all these are completely interview questions. Can I, this is interview question. Can I implement a type 2 in lookup? Answer is yes. What to do? You have to remove execute SQL task, then go to the stage table, you drop it, you remove it, then you insert the data directly into the employee destination table, nothing else. So updated records will be inserted as a separate row and go to the destination table, remove the primary key. That's it. Your lookup transformation also will become type 2 of SCD. So tomorrow we'll continue. Any questions? You're welcome.